Welcome, my friends, as we enter this evening with a unbelievable opportunity to see the grand finals for the Invitational Cup here at Hyperion. It is going to be a stellar matchup between these two teams. I'm stoked to be here alongside my fellow caster, Juggle God. I am Rich Rad. And Juggle, I mean, we were able to look at some VOD history of this team. We've looked at some of their other competitors that they've gone against. There's a lot of excitement between the two of them. There has been some unique changes and hurdles overcoming one of these teams to go into tonight, but regardless, I think it's going to be quite a showing.
It's going to be absolutely fantastic. I mean, Kaiju, Corp, clvr, they had a perfect record, a win, a lossless record this season. They lost a couple of maps, and one of the teams they lost maps to was Paradise Aegis.
Yes.
So I know we are in for a real treat tonight. These two teams have really risen above the ranks and shown themselves to be the top two in this tournament, and I can't wait to see what kind of a match we've got ahead of us.
I mean, and just to highlight a few of those, we're going to actually let you get some firsthand footage of just how exciting those moments were.
Oh, they're going to have to bypass the shatter from the glitch.
Look, Kaiju with the ults coming in probably their toughest matches again.
Coming on, the bomb from Felix is going to freeze
about now, that's going to isolate Florida and take him down. You have to imagine, but that's a great layup.
But those are popping off. Greg looking for significant instances of damage. They do actually land the flash.
He not only got sound barrier, but now Greg with the double kill. Oh, the dead
Up with Scarrow. It's all Kaiju or Clover.
But if you're not getting the stun kills onto Glitch, then
For an opportunity to barrage, there's a really good opportunity. They're going to go.
he doesn't die there. It just goes to demonstrate how well tuned Felix is, as well as Cope with the Mercy. I mean,
Dead Eye, but was mitigated by Felix, and Glitch is now in their face. Can't find enough to punish them for that misposition. But Copel, ever attentive, is going to bring Vibe and revive. And honestly, you're Florida sacrifices the armoration. The bomb coming out from Felix as well.
a hard check to dash.
Oh,
Dodge everything here.
there's speed for so long. How about those are off with the objective, and also off is the Lucio for Frost.
Looks like David Close, they're going to be getting first cap. Second Purple had pushed up a little bit too far. It is coming in. One shot. Better now look at it. They just can't break them back. So,
It's over 9,000, friends. The energy is here, and it's absolutely exciting. I'm going to tell you right now, I feel like I'm literally watching just the Broly versus, Gogeta. That's literally how I feel right now.
Right.
But to be honest, Juggle God, like we saw a lot of significant highlights going into this. We've seen a lot ourselves, and as we do look at both of these teams and start diving into a combination of the rosters and just how they've come to be at this point, it's such an exciting opportunity. Again, for those that might have missed the previous broadcast, what we did have on the break screen, you did see where it was Kaiju Corp Clover managing to take 3-0 over Frost Nova to get here, while we did have Danger Close lose to Paradise Aegis to get Aegis into this position. So it's been a road for both of these teams, and that's at least the most recent one that they were able to overcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And, both of these teams really didn't have too much of a problem in their semifinals. So I'm looking to them both to really pop today. Kaiju Core Clover, this team came together around April 2020, and both you and I have some experience with this team. I cast one of their community tournaments with Will English. You're familiar with him as well from some Midwest tournaments.
Yes, we actually were just doing one. It was about 2 weekends ago now, I believe it was, the Midwest Showdown that was here in Chicago. LAN opportunity was fantastic to be a part of. Kaiju Corp's owner, or EDAD, as Tengu is called, amongst a lot of the individuals a part of it, is the one that oversees it. They've got an organization. There's a lot going from this team. I was able to talk with him as well just to get a few words, and really just he discussed how much this group of individuals has grown, the hurdles that they've overcome with their schedules, most of them, basically all of them, some of them actually in college while also playing to try and find theirs, but a lot being full-time day jobs, looking to see if they can work in time to be with these individuals. And there's just the synergy as a whole has really, really developed over the course of time that they've been playing together, basically since inception of this game coming out, even in beta for some of them, and have really just looked to accelerate, even highlighting some of those like we do have on the support role. It is going to be JB with a lot of the Baptiste play that you and I commented about. Just this organization as a whole has really worked their way through it. And in addition to that, they've also had an opportunity to play in other invitationals previously to this, where, they, especially the one that was actually by Kaiju Corp themselves, they got top 4, but being in an invitational that was under their own branch was where it's like, we really could have done better here. And it's an opportunity now for them to show how they've grown in this tournament with Hyperion and really be able to take this first place spot to show their worth and value.
Yeah, you really bring up some good points there, and this team I think is the favorite coming into this, at least from my perspective. And Felix Felicis and Glitch, I'm really going to be looking to that tank line. They have been so powerful and so strong this entire tournament. Looking at them to really lead their team well.
And as we do get to take an opportunity to transition to Paradise Aegis, we do look at some of the roster here. And one to really highlight is essentially this roster as a whole. There has been a huge
Yes.
amount of adaptation going into this. Caffeinated, their head coach and manager, has informed us that there have been a lot of adjustments going into this. They're going to have Purple coming in for Cardi. Goob Dude is now going to swap with Homesick. Now subbing in for that, they're going to have a little bit of an adjustment when it comes to the flexibility, since average size is not here to play that support role, with the adjustment to flex in, having also Brick being that co-DPS, a swap between or correction, it's average size flexing in a support because Hidden Ninja is here.
Yes.
That's
Correct.
the
Yeah.
swap. So with those changes, there's a lot going into this for this team to already overcome before even getting into map.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And one of the interesting things, too, though, to consider is the fact that Kaiju Core Clover isn't going to be as familiar with this team. If they had done a lot of research and, watching VODs, they're not going to see this lineup that's going to come out, at least not the way that they're expecting it to. So that's going to be fascinating to see how they adapt.
And as you can even see from the notes, they've had experience in a tournament type of environment, being in that GGNA first season, having that type of competitive knowledge. Also, with what Caffeinated had mentioned, that they do have 3 teams under their smaller organization. They recognize it's smaller, but they still have a variety of teams that they do have of different skill levels. And again, for those that are subbing in and coming in to fill those roles, such as both the tank from Purple and Homesick, is just their camaraderie and their friendship that they have, able to pull through in the end to kind of be the ringers, I guess, in this sense that we want to put it, to give that opportunity of being able to compete in this grand finals against a team like Kaiju Clover, who we've, as you mentioned, come in as the favorite.
All right. Well, we are just about ready to get into this game, and I'm excited to see what map we're going to be going to first. Oh, actually, we have that answer. We are going to be headed to Lijiang Tower first, Rich Red, and I think this is just a fantastic place to start out. A lot of good comps that we can see running out here. We're going to get a taste of what's to come.
Well, it's also just because of the variety of control maps itself. The rounds have such a vast majority of compositions that you can bring into this. We see a lot when it comes to City Center with the May play, the Symmetra play, the Junkrat. When it comes to the Open Gardens map, you've got a lot of the Far play. Same thing with Night Market. And we've seen previously Cannon be a very large influencer with that Far play on a control map. It is very dominant between the two. And that's even something that Tengu is highlighting a lot when it comes to at least the DPS lineup, is that Cannon is a little bit more flexible in their hero pool, where they do like to bring out a little bit more of those unique selections. But with Greg, they still have their hero pool, but it's not as expansive. But they work together so well, and with Cannon kind of playing these unique pickups or the off roll DPS that is a little interesting and outside of the ordinary, and being able to work well with Greg, it's really critical to see what kind of opportunities they can gain going into these matches.
Yeah, and I'm expecting to see Greg use this Pharah that we've seen him use so much in the past. He really popped off in some of the games that we watched. In particular, the one the preview match of this, as a matter of fact, right? The Kaiju Core Clover versus Paradise Aegis during the regular season. Canada did a fantastic job on Pharah, and so Paradise Aegis, they're gonna have to figure out how to counter that moving into these maps.
Well, I mean, that's actually one thing that's the interesting dynamic, because Caffeinated talked about one of their subs that's coming in for this evening as the Widow One Trick. And honestly, when you've got a Widow One Trick that they always make jokes about, Brick pops off multiple times, and if you're going into a Pharah or an Echo or anything of the sort, that's something to have in your back pocket. And I'm curious to see if that's going to come out, because we are on Gardens, where we do see a lot of that elevated gameplay with the Pharah or the Echo.
Yeah, that's very true. And we're going to get a sneak peek in just a second as we get our first look at what heroes each of these teams is hovering over in spawn. And interestingly, we see Cannon over on the Junkrat, so maybe he got word in earlier about this Widow pick potentially coming out from Brick Wall. As we see them, start to hover over it in spawn. But
please, it's going to make me so happy if I see that come out.
I know, right? Crucially, not a whole lot of boot potential, I don't think, on Kaiju Core Clover's side, at least at the moment. I'll be curious to see if this changes as the gates open.
And with the doors opening now, it is the first map of the evening, best of 7. We have so much Overwatch prepped and ready for you, and we'll see who grinds their way to victory as the rockets already rain overhead. Locknock able to get a decent amount of shots in already, getting Cannon about half health and low to generate quickly towards this rocket barrage. But now that they're inside of the pagoda, it gives them a little bit more reservation, and it's going to be much more challenging to get the damage through.
Yes, it certainly is. And one interesting pick we haven't really mentioned so far is Purple on the Roadhog. You don't typically see that here.
You don't.
But we've got a couple of picks online already as the fight's starting to break out.
Well, and this is also something that Caffeinated commented, where this is actually a very comfortable pick by Purple, getting that hook onto Cannon, and it's more so due to the fact that this team, from her observation in the way that they play, is able to have a ton of individual play potential, and you can just see even this presence on the point. You're going to have the take a breather by Purple to sustain the supports in the back, despite Brick going to be eliminated early. Purple finds another here onto the supports, and if those hooks can continue to land, that's just going to further prove how their independent skill is so vital to their success.
Yeah, that is certainly the case. But, you know, the interesting thing is right now, this point is still under control of Kaiju Core. Despite a couple of excellent picks by Purple, he wasn't able to really carry his team through that fight. And despite that, Kaiju Core Clover still holding on to point.
And now you can see that sound barrier committed by Copal in the back to make sure that they can hold on to this, almost to that 50% marker. Glitch has to bail. Beautiful defense matrix coming out by Felix in the back. She was able to hold on and make sure that he is not going to go down. We do have that 50% mark reached. Homesick has this flux, could look for a big grab since there's multiple members close. Though bold supports, but actually gets a quick reposition. The Junkrat gets out by the concussion, but Copal goes down by Brick Wall. 1-for-1 exchange. And now looking to drop the self-destruct by Felix. The radius not close enough to get anyone picked off, but this percentage is still climbing, and Kaiju Clover is still feeling pretty strong in this.
Yeah, they have to be feeling good. A couple of exit picks right there, though, could turn things around. Paradise Aegis has an opportunity to start moving in if they can find an angle, if they can find some sort of opportunity, but they need to wait for their team to come back. But crucially, JB Rocks Forever has this amplification matrix online, and I'm expecting them to use it early in this next fight.
I mean, that quick camera swap onto Cannon made me think it was a Pharah, but that was just a great position, double concussion line to get that high in the sky. As the Gap Matrix now comes out, Bob into the corner, getting that extra person on the point as the Immortality Field comes out. Amplified damage back in return onto Bob, but with the Hyper Focus to eliminate the Omnic. It's going to be an EV exchange here for Paradise, managing to take this back in the overtime as long as they can Hyper Focus the Symmetra, even though the Photon Barrier is splitting the room. If this continues, it's just going to be an opportunity to get back, but they finally eliminate it. Greg's no longer there, and they get some percentage on the board.
You know what is really fascinating to me about this fight so far, Richrad, is that when we watched both of these teams play earlier, in every single case, Paradise Aegis came away with the first capture of the point, but it was Kaiju Core Clover who ended up coming away with the map win in so many of these cases. But here we've seen the exact opposite. Kaiju Core has done a great job getting things started. We've got a couple of ultimates and abilities coming out now. Glitch already on the prowl.
Yep, Glitch is looking for the prowl, and Cannon's finding the flank. It's a great synergy between the both of them, and you're so far ahead. You've got this percentage gain. You've able to hold out against Paradise Aegis. Now they're going to have to scramble to touch back onto this, and this was the one concern I had. Because again, there's nothing wrong with having very independently skilled individuals. They do have a great team play. They're organized when they at least go into an engagement, try and find the value, but you can't solely rely on the independent play. There are definitely moments where pop-offs have significantly changed the whole shift of the fight, but through the long run, I really need to see that cohesion come out from Paradise, and that's a challenge in and of itself, like we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, that they have these individuals coming together that are having spots filled, so they're going to have to learn very quickly, and the key word there for me is adaptation.
Yeah, adaptation is such a key word here. And I haven't seen a whole lot of it come out yet from Paradise Aegis. I want to see maybe a couple more swaps coming in, something to try and mitigate what has been thrown at them by Kaiju Core Clover. Got a TP to come out first, and we're still seeing the same rollout coming from Paradise Aegis. Purple on this Roadhog.
I'm surprised that neither team opted to go for the main. Very confident pick here, but again, they like to have their comfort picks, and they're not going to blame anything. You get some early damage onto the Sentry Turret before it gets placed overhead to try and see if they can get some extra damage in the back flank, as you have a nice D-mech early with Cannon getting a return. The fact that you've lost the Zenyatta, no longer with the Discord Orb, to add that additional oomph for Paradise Aegis to get those picks necessary. Greg's going to keep that teleporter out to evade center towards that center section, and once again, Kaiju Clover gets the advantage here, and you have Paradise having to play super cautious going into this. A little bit aggressive by Purple, and the Immortality Field keeps them alive.
Yeah, you know, I've been surprised because Paradise Aegis seems to be getting picks here and there, but Kaiju Core Clover is just staying together. They're playing as a cohesive team, and they're playing calm when they get under pressure, and it's allowing them to come back into these fights. And even though Paradise Aegis, yeah, like they're having to use ults to try and flip this point.
Serious credit. Absolutely serious credit here to Paradise Aegis. They drew back just enough to find their equilibrium to switch that back and get, like you said, those critical picks.
Yeah, now as we move into this next fight, Kaiju Core Clover looking a little bit better in the ult department. They're going to have this Rip Tower come online, and we've seen how devastating that can be in just so many games during this Hyperion Cup. Hook comes out onto Canada, and he goes down.
Early lead into this, managing to reduce that, just funneling damage through the choke point. Purple having that whole hog, getting a lot of support in the back. The Immortality Field is committed to make sure that they can keep him alive, and big assistance up front here by this Baptiste play from Nemo. With this rotation up top, you do see the advantage. The Riptire is ready from Canada as they're looking to regroup, since again, they did get picked out early, separated from the team. Is there going to be an exploitation of that with Nemo in the back still continuing to fuel? The Transcendence is here, but that's not going to help. But that sure as heck will if you've got Brickwall focusing down the Riptire, and they managed to peel that away.
You know, that whole engagement right there, I think, started off the back of that whole hog coming in from Purple. He was able to just chunk down so many shields and so many resources from Kaiju Core Clover that they had to rotate to the high ground to try and regain some of those abilities, but it just wasn't enough. And we saw right after that, Purple get that hook onto Greg, which really opened things up. Greg opting to go over now to the Cowboy, which has already proved valuable.
Oh no, the Shatter doesn't get nearly as much value, at least gets Brick Wall in the back. Greg finds a double in this, and that's a huge advantage to play forward with, as Homesick now has to fall back, trying to mitigate with that shielding and the Accretion Rock to slow it. But again, both supports constantly being focused here on Kaiju Clover, and that is a big boon for Paradise.
Yeah, it certainly is. They were able to take that fight and win it fairly easily, and Glitch might even get caught out here. It doesn't look like that's going to happen, but coming into this next fight, we've just got Felix Felicis. She has this self-destruct, and maybe she can find some value with it. Zone off people from the point and give a little room, but already there's 2 picks in favor of Paradise Aegis.
Now the third, it is just funneling through, and honestly, this adjustment on with the Ashe and the Hanzo play have been stellar, and keeping the Zenyatta, again, you lose a little bit more of that control. You solely have to rely on Nemo to get that boop, to properly keep distance, to keep average alive, to be honest. And really, the fact that they weren't able to get rid of the Zen to reduce the damage, and as you commented about that whole hog, that's so much extra damage when you are in the front with that Disorder just taking shrapnel to the face.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. And, you know, this is just what we saw in the first matchup between Paradise Aegis and Kaiju Core Clover. We have gone 1-1 now, and it's all coming down to this last point here on Night Market. And I'm expecting to see another TP to point from Kaiju Core Clover. It worked still well for them on Gardens, and it gave them that early control. I'm anticipating we see something like that again, and just some poke coming in from the outside from Paradise Aegis.
I mean, the biggest thing is with this, I'm surprised that we're not having the aerial position coming out from Clover. But again, you're going to have Lock Knock making sure that they bring that to the table. Early teleporter, as you said, managing to take this objective first. See if they can utilize it and carry it through. In the back line, honestly, just making sure that they can sustain. And this is going to be a slow, methodical entry. A little bit of an aggression coming out from Clover, though. That could be the opportunity for Paradise to take it. The Immortality Field has to be expended to keep the lines alive. Glitch has to fall back, but you're still having Felix play a little aggressive. Beautiful shield timing coming out to prevent the DMAC.
Yeah, that was so close right there. I was a little bit worried by that aggressive push right there, but Kaiju Core Clover, they knew when to back up. They knew how to play this. They knew the rhythm that they needed to use, and it's already paid dividends as average size is out of the fight. And like you said,
indeed. And now with that balloon payment coming quicker than I think all of us anticipated, they're actually going to be able to turn this. Amplification Matrix gets the damage, and they're sure just going to take quick advantage of it.
Yeah, they absolutely are. You know, getting that early rotation onto point really, I think, was the difference maker here. They were able to set up and just bunker down on point, but picks are starting to come in for Paradise Aegis on this recontest.
Rocket Barrage prepped and ready as well. 2 for 2. Rip gets 1. Barrage gets 2. And you've got now 40% still managing to gain some, but it finally swaps over just before that 50% marker.
Yeah, and you know, it was the alternate angles that Lockdack was taking that really opened things up right there, I think, for Paradise Aegis. They were able to get around the shield and find an early pick, which really started the domino effect and the waterfall that led to Paradise Aegis taking that point back. But Kaiju Corp Clover has tools to come in. A few less, though, now that they've started to press Q.
That's a beautiful sound barrier, though, to come out just in time, but Glitch does not have enough assistance to stay topped up. Quick turnaround here, and honestly, the fact that they're only gonna oh no, I would have liked to see the Transcendence be kept instead of forced out for that engagement.
Yeah, you know, 3 ultimates came out on the side of Kaiju Corp Clover in that fight, and they didn't get anything from it, and had Average Size held on to that, they would have been in such a better position, I think, for this defense. They do have the Whole Hog, which they can use to push people off point, and if anyone gets near one of those edges, they're gonna go for a trip into the oblivion.
Nice early DMEC, though. Felix just being eliminated outright. Just completely removed from this. Same thing with Greg. That's what Paradise is really going to need to continue, because that's going to run this clock, and it's going to allow them to continue getting closer to that 100%.
Yeah, it certainly is. They have, they are in the lead now, having capped this second. Purple's still holding on to this whole hog, and no more ultimates coming in for either side. Paradise Aegis was able to win that engagement before it practically even started, but Felix Felicis, she can open it up with a well-placed self-destruct here.
Glitch on the outside, gets the mega self-destruct tucked immediately under. Can they get rid of the immortality field? No, it's not going to go down fast enough. The focus fire just falls shy, and the fact that you've got the pharmacy composition at 88% going to be eliminated, that's going to put this in a very desperate state for Kaiju Clover. You've only got this potential opportunity to contest here because they're waiting for the last 2 to get back online.
Yeah, and already we see that there's 3, even 4 ultimates coming online, and with Purple getting a pick on the Glitch early, this looks like it's almost over.
I mean, Bob being the 7th member of the team, coming out from Paradise Aegis, I gotta give them supreme credit right now for taking advantage of this. The early game, I have to say, is very challenging in a competitive control map with Kaiju Clover, but the long, extended plays that we're seeing from Paradise have really paid off, even with their overzealous use of the support ultimates that we commented on. Really would like to see that carry over. They recover through it regardless in the way that they're playing.
You know what, I think one of the keys to it was that they just kept getting these early picks on people, right before the fight had even started, and that's exactly what this composition wants to do. They don't want you to get to the point. They want to take the fight somewhere else, and that's exactly what they did, and it paid dividends. And Paradise Aegis coming up with the first win, usurping expectations.
Absolutely. And again, they have already demonstrated that the hurdle of having some swaps in their player roster has not allowed them to weaken or falter. And that's a really big testament to them, allowing them to start to work with one another, attempting to try and gain as much opportunity between one another that they can feel confident going into this. But again, they're seasoned players. They've been in competitive environments before. It's just trying to take off the training wheels for the others that they might not have been regularly alongside of. But again, still with Kaiju Corp, they did not make this easy. The one thing definitely when it came to some of these engagements is getting picked out early. It didn't happen often, but when it did, it was extremely catastrophic just because of where the tempo of the game was going and where the percentage values were between the two of them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, it was once Paradise Aegis had control of the point that they were able to get those early picks as well. So I wonder if, you know, just the fact that maybe they were positioning a little bit better, maybe the rotations weren't as tight as they needed to be from Kaiju Corp Clover. But regardless of what the answer is, it looks like we are going to be going to Junkertown for our next map.
I mean, that's going to be an interesting map to see. Again, this has a lot of long sight lines, and we talked about Brick having a Widow one-trick feel in their roster, and I mean, might as well play to strengths if that's a thing, you know. But at this point, again, since it's Kaiju Corp that's selecting it, they have to feel extremely confident going into this. And to be fair, when Kaiju Corp was going in with a lot of their resources, so many of them were eliminated because you have to really acknowledge how much value that Roadhog brings, even though it is a unique pick. If you can find that sweet spot when you're just clicking away and making sure that you can get that extra damage, which you're already getting from the Ashe onto the shield, the Dynamite onto the shield, the Dynamite onto the Reinhardt. You're also having potentially like the Hanzo or the backline damage symmetric. There's a variety of things that was brought out to just eliminate the shields. And that Hog is just another agent to do that and overwhelm any sort of defensive mitigation, even with the defense matrix from the D.Va, who, by the way, with Felix has been doing a really stellar job.
Yeah, that's very true. And, you know, I want to take it back to Purple for just a second, because Purple was in one of the has been a part of the lineup for Paradise Aegis before. In fact, he came in for the game that my team Lux Nova played against him and caused so much havoc for us. We were not expecting it all. He takes so many great off angles, and that's really going to be a problem, I think. You know, and actually angles in particular, I think were a problem for Kaiju Core Clover that map. They weren't covering each angle that they needed to keep the damage at bay. And if Paradise Aegis can continue to surround them like that, they're going to have an easy time with them.
And, you know, going into Junkertown, there is going to be a significant amount of angles to have to be very cautious of, but also just the swap between the elevated high ground. More so in the, you know, early parts of the match, and even in like, I mean, let's be real. It's basically all three of them. There is a little bit more of like a reduction in open space just because you go into the tail end where it's a lot more enclosed. There's still the rotating catwalk panels that are there as well. So there's a lot of things to really have to try and play around, and it's going to be very interesting. And I'm curious to see what we're going to have from Kaiju Clover going into this map, knowing that possibly that there is that little bit more of a hit scan value that can be brought with this composition, and having Brick be that hit scan specialist for this to really make it a challenge in these open long sight lines.
Yeah, you know what I would like to see, I think, in order to help with some of these long sidelines and these multiple angles, is a double shield composition coming out from Kaiju Core Clover. I think that could be at least a piece of the puzzle for them to try and mitigate what Paradise Aegis has been throwing at them. And it's not a bad look on Junkertown.
No, not at all. And it can be very, very valuable to get that type of double sealed composition. And we haven't really seen too much of it. There even was discussion, too, that when it came out from Tengu, that they are really rolling out a lot more of this ball composition, that they've started to kind of integrate that into their, you know, style, and finding a lot of value with it, putting their opponent on an uncomfortable footing when they're going into these engagements. And I mean, when you've got a really stellar wrecking ball play and you know how to properly enter into engagement spaces or find those isolated knockups, it can be so devastating.
Yeah, it certainly can. Just one well-placed boop can end a team fight, or for you know, the team with the wrecking ball, and that's certainly something to watch out for here. I mean, you know, Roadhog, I think we're gonna probably see again, and he can do a lot of damage to a wrecking ball as well. So if Kaiju Core Clover opts to bring that out, they're certainly going to have to keep their eyes on Purple.
And as we take a look at Kaiju Clover coming out, we do have the Sigma play. So Flex is going to take a little bit of a seat on the D.Va, which they're more notorious for, and curious if they'll go ahead and step up. I've seen a little bit of the Sigma play, which I've really liked. But again, glitch on the wrecking ball. That's something they've really, really wanted to integrate, and I'm extremely excited to see how it's going to play out here, and really utilizing that mill to the right there specifically, and probably going around the outer position. And again, with Greg on the Hanzo, or correction, Cannon on the Hanzo and Greg on the Ashe, I like that duo. That duo was very significant for Paradise Aegis on the previous map.
It certainly was, and, you know, I'm never going to be upset when I see a wrecking ball come out. This is a fantastic map to play him on. I'll be curious to see which angle you said, you know, like you were saying, they're going to take. Are they going to go around this mill, or are they going to go for a different engagement? Brick wall on this Widow, so that's certainly going to be one of Glitch's primary targets as this engagement gets about ready to start.
Oh, there it is to start out the game. We talked about it, the pop-off moment, start to stack. Even though it was a quick early one, let's see if it continues to snowball when you've got that much damage coming out between the two of them. I mean, honestly, both of the DPS are just getting those sight lines to find value. Whether it's a log or a quick snip, they've allowed a huge amount of space.
Yeah, that they certainly have, and Paradise Aegis is going to take that space greedily right now. No ultimates online for either team, but Glitch is in the back line looking for some kind of a disruption. But once again, the front line is just falling left and right to Paradise Aegis aggression.
Yeah, these couple of picks, I mean, you have Greg forcing this Widowmaker. Nice engagement. Glitch doing the right job to make sure that you prevent that hit scan from continuing to find value, especially in this open space, looking to just basically hold the windows and the lower doorway. But with that Discord Orb, again, average sized is just bringing so much essential value because you're going to wait for the Wrecking Ball to do value, but he's got the Discord Orb. So he's a sitting duck.
Right. Yeah, he certainly is. And close shot coming in. Never mind. Locknack again with a killer shot. These snipers from Paradise Aegis are just unstoppable right now. I think we need to see some wholesale changes coming in from kaiju, corp, clvr. Otherwise, they're just going to continue to get rolled over by this unstoppable force that Paradise Aegis has started to put up.
The bleeding's got to be cauterized right now. Hook going to get glitch again, trying to force it. Nice shield defensively, but it's only for one, so that shield's not going to hold up for long as you almost get a nice pickup from Brick looking with those sight lines. And now Nemo up top, making sure that they can continue to have that amplification matrix and also the immortality field ready. I mean, this payload has yet to truly be contested since its start.
You're absolutely right. It's just continuing under the control of Paradise Aegis. And now, with a couple of ultimates online for Paradise Aegis as well, this is looking very, very difficult for kaiju, corp, clvr. They're just now getting their first two ultimates online in Cannon and Glitch.
This pickup on the front line is huge, but the immortality field comes out. Nemo, big timing onto that cannon, finally gets their opposing hit scan player. Brick gonna go down. And finally, the bleeding shall stop. They have managed to hold off and scave away just barely with 3 minutes and 50 seconds. So there's a long time bank. Every second is going to count here in this middle phase.
It certainly is. And look at what kaiju, corp, clvr had to spend, though, in order to get this fight when they had to use the mines already. They had to use Sice. They had to use the dragon. And now, Paradise Aegis has an advantage, especially with these sites coming up. They can plan this engage, and Locknack can get a fantastic dragon strike if he plans it well.
That kinetic grasp was huge to mitigate that shot, but you're going to have Felix come in big with a pickup onto the support line. It's only going to be average size with the Transcendence falling. Holding onto this... Honestly, this bridgeway positioning is probably the best area you could be to hold right now on this map.
Certainly is, and I think we're starting to see the strength now of the composition that kaiju, corp, clvr has. It takes a little while to get running, but... now that it is, they've started to put up a defense, and this is what we've seen from them before, so maybe this is a return to form, but we've got to pick in on each side, and crucially, Locknack has these dragons.
I mean, they're just going to go for an even trade. It's like, all right, we'll go even this time. We're square. We'll come back again. Just do another round. And now with Glitch looking to try and find an opportunity up top, potentially going to look for a pile drive onto the supports, but there is a sight line available, and there's average size getting Greg. Again, these independent picks, the Dragon Strike is here waiting for that kinetic grasp to drop to even potentially toss it out. And really just, again, this slow, methodical play to try and find the pick until they do come out to the corner, separating, so there's no ability to hide, and the Widow shots come through almost onto the Mercy. Can't find that dodge, the bob and weave, the Discord even to assist finally goes down, and you've got 2 minutes and 10 going into this checkpoint, and Culpel just had a hope and a dream to use those wings to get away.
I tell you, Brickwall doing tremendous work right there for Paradise Aegis, and Glitch, I think, needs to put a little bit more pressure on this Widow, because you can't just let a Widow this good have free reign. But oh my gosh, what looked like a premature engagement there from Glitch.
I mean, but that's why it's so challenging, because Glitch, the second that they're in the open, that is instantly where average size is tossed into Discord Orb. It doesn't even matter. The health bars are not lasting long to even get pressure onto that Widow, and now looking to try and round this inner corner, they finally, again, just stop this momentum forward and really have to look to these two doorways to secure this defense.
Yeah, they've got a 3-minute hold ahead of them, but they do have some tools to start rotating their ultimates. They're gonna have this minefield, they're gonna have the tac visor, but average size has this transcendence as well, so that's gonna give them a lot of staying power. Widow pops her sights to start to get an idea of how kaiju, corp, clvr is gonna take this defense before they move in.
Glitch doesn't manage to get the pile drive necessary, gets stuck up top as an amplification matrix comes through. If that Discord Orb is on anybody in the backline plus the amp matrix, it's going to be significant. Transcendence is going to mitigate all of that minefield. or at least the majority of it as they round this inner side. But the high ground's still being obtained by Clover. They look for an engagement to go in as they've got a decent shield with the Discord orb placed once again onto Glitch in the back. Felix is going to get low, but tossed up quickly. Discord transitioning as an Immortality field comes out by Nemo in the back. Locknock is going to be eliminated by Greg, but there's still a 1-for-1 trade. Up top, Glitch has to let this Discord fall as a self-destruct comes out. The pile drift comes in seconds late, so it doesn't prevent that shield from coming through. But this reposition with Brick going onto the Tracer could be enough to get value as both supports go high in the sky and almost gets double tapped here to both eliminate them. J&B survives by the skin of their teeth, but can't last for long with a hook of purple.
Oh my gosh, what a drawn out fight that was. So many ultimates committed from both teams, but in the end it was Some 6 Gravitic Flux that got the job done. Once all of the resources had been depleted on the side of Kaiju Core Clover, they were able to get tremendous value with that Gravitic Flux. So excellent timing right there from Homesick. But moving into this last fight, Kaiju Core Clover's gotta start mounting a defense, otherwise Paradise Aegis is just gonna roll it in.
Mounting a defense? I mean, there's no ability to. The whole hog is there. The Kinetic Grasp mitigates any return by Felix. Is gonna get DMAG, just completely flanking all the remaining survivors. It doesn't matter if the spawn's in your favor, but they complete it with 1 minute and 4 seconds on the bank.
You know, once Paradise Aegis had that momentum coming out of that penultimate fight, they just rolled it straight into a map capture right there, and it was tremendously well done. I think it was really the tank ults that made the difference there. That whole hog and that Gravitic Flux were so well timed in both cases that Kaiju Core Clover just didn't have an answer for it, and now Paradise Aegis has 1:04 on the clock.
Ending with time is always a good call, as now we see what the defensive position's going to look like. Paradise Aegis, I would be interested to see if they're going to adopt something a little bit more mobile here, or they're going to have Purple continue to stick on the Roadhog, which would not be a surprise. It is really getting a lot of value, but Locknock actually going to come out on the Torbjorn, and this is going to create a really nice crossfire, especially if Brick finds a couple of good angles or a perch to sit on.
Yeah, that's very true. Brickwall has been so pivotal so far for Paradise Aegis on at least this map in particular, and with more angles to be covered, it's going to make it very, very difficult for Kaiju Core Clover to find an opening, to find, you know, some way to find those angles that were really, you know, actually that were working for Paradise Aegis, rather. They need to come in and neutralize some of these threats very quickly.
And they're going to play a little bit further back here as Brick looks to play a side angle, trying to get some value. Decent shot, at least onto the body of the Wrecking Ball. But again, not looking for that target just yet. Needs to find something a little bit more of substance. But with Cannon now taking the hack on the Mega Pack down below, he's going to feel comfortable going into this, but almost gets taken out.
Whoa.
Felix now, with all the distraction that Cannon brought into that, able to get rid of Brick. So that does open up the gates for an opportunity. But with Glitch going down, because the Discord is still there, it's an even 5 for 5.
Coming in onto Purple is gonna make some space though, for sure. And they're gonna go down very low too. Felix Felicis doing some tremendous job keeping this corner in the absence of Glitch right now, but both teams looking very good at the moment in terms of ult percentage. Cap and Emo though gonna be coming up first with that amplification matrix. I'm expecting it to be popped just about as soon as he gets it.
Purple's threading the needle when having that Discord orb on top of them. I mean, just a couple of serious critical moments, almost being eliminated, but the Taker Breather comes out just in time. With now a Kinetic Grasp mitigating a lot of damage from Homesick. Glitch is eliminated again, constantly being forced out instantly if they do not get a big enough shield from multiple members on this defensive hold. Hack onto Homesick this time to prevent that shielding or the accretion, but there's still so much value being brought in from Brick Wall and Locknock, and they continue to sustain underneath this archway. I mean, this is a stellar defensive hold right now.
Yeah, this was absolutely incredible, and I don't know if you caught it, but Purple just went on his own adventure there and got 3 for 3 hooks, 3 for 3 kills. Somebody has to put a stop to this guy, and you know they need to counter him. And I would love to see an Ana come out from Kaiju Core Clover. Glitch has opted to go over to the Hog to try and counter, but he just gets hooked again and killed by Purple.
Big 4-player EMP, but there's nobody to complete on it. You're trying to hide, Greg. You're fighting fire. And now you're going to go in with a backline. Tactical Vibes are going to get overwhelmed. There's a lot of focus of Homesick. And, you know, again, they're going to try and, as you said, take the hog-to-hog battle. There's an opportunity now, but these picks just continually flux back and forth as Brick, the lone cowboy, stands on the gold.
Yeah, you know what was crucial there, though, is the 3 picks did come in favor for Kaiju Core Clover. So if they turn this quickly, they can get some card progress, maybe even get it up to the gates, and look to just have a 1-5 battle before capping this first point. But they've just been held almost completely by Paradise Aegis, and with such an interesting comp as well. Purple has just been on fire, but they have some tools coming online. Glitch is going to have the whole hog.
This is an interesting option that Kaiju Clover is going for. Nice side angle coming out from Purple, playing the sneaky Roadhog positioning as all should in the game of Overwatch. With the Transcendence now going to come out towards that payload to make sure that everyone's topped up to sustain. Pick comes out, and Brick finds the opportunity to take down that Echo, and that's one of my biggest concerns, is you're going to have Echo look for the value with the sticky bombs, shredding just health value, and potentially having the focusing beam once dropped below 50%. But if you are given space and given time, that's an easy target for Brick.
Yeah, it really is, and Brick hasn't been missing. We know that they've got incredible mechanics. I mean, we saw what they had on Widow, and you know that transfers over, well, to the Cowboy as well. Purple still holding on to this whole hog. Glitch finally has theirs as well, so it's going to be up to these 2 hogs and how they play, and I frankly have to give the edge to Purple in this fight. Cannon, though, able to take out that turret early on is going to help things out.
Oh, gets the hook first. Oh, no! It was just the fraction of a second on the action, and it will fall short for Kaiju Clover. The hog is going to be held on to the last desperate play to prevent anyone from touching. You've got the Transcendence coming out from JB, but that's where the whole hog comes into play, knocking him away.
It is.
Overtime shell dwindle. The high noon comes out for a pick on the hamster. You're not running in that ball any longer, as that's going to be a beautiful display of defensive prowess from Paradise Aegis.
I cannot believe what I am seeing here. Paradise Aegis is making the juggernaut of Kaiju Core Clover look like David instead of Goliath. I mean, this is ridiculous. Paradise Aegis, the changes they have made have paid dividends for them, and it's really been a story, I think, of this Roadhog on Purple on this Roadhog. They haven't been stopped. I mean, look at that hook accuracy and the number of hooks they got in that last match. That was just tremendous play from Paradise Aegis, and this is a whole new team. I'm excited to see what they do, and I'm excited to see how Kaiju Clover is going to try and respond in kind, because so far nothing they've tried has worked.
I mean, and you made that subtle comment too when it came to the Ana being an option, and I honestly think it would have been something of value, because if you can prevent that take a breather, that's really one of the biggest things that really kept Purple in such sustainability, because they were able to constantly weave behind the architecture near the Mega Pack to take that time to get the breather, since it was not easy accessibility to follow up onto it. And even with the switch to the Echo, who can have the focusing beam for below 50% health, if you can float just above that with the take a breather, you're never going to get that extra boost to damage. But I mean, again, as we've taken a look at it, it's so far right now Paradise Aegis managing to get a 2-0 victory. So far, they still have 2 more maps to win that they can try and claim the trophy, but Kaiju Clover is not going to be ending this competitiveness anytime soon. But we'll be heading to a brief break to give these players to have an opportunity to regroup, recalibrate, and come back in to bring back some action. So don't go anywhere, as we'll be seeing you on the other side of this break. Welcome back, friends. As we continue on, we're quite, a little surprised here by the way that this is going. With as much as we talked about the favorites from Kaiju, clvr going into this, the way that they've played previously in the VOD that we've seen, and the curveball that we're seeing from a Roadhog kind of just wreaking havoc in this comp.
Yeah, this has been an unbelievable grand finals. I'm really excited that we've had that. You love to have expectations usurped. You love to see surprises, and this is certainly no different. And Purple has absolutely been that surprise for me. I'm just just been absolutely stunned by them, and as well with just the play overall from Paradise Aegis. They seem to have a really good grasp of how their composition needs to win in every single case, right? They've been able to modify their playstyle for whatever Kaiju Core Clover has brought out against them, and they've done it in style.
And it kind of almost calls to that credibility of like the independent skill. Like there was definitely discussion of like, you know, their team play is a little sometimes harder to work with in their opponents, but with how Purple is being on the Roadhog and also kind of the play styles with the rest of the team, they're each having their essential moments, even though they're still playing in a like coordinated team dynamic. So it's very, very interesting to see how they've been able to mold that together. And honestly, one of the biggest things, you know, with Clover is to almost kind of take advantage of that. If they can find the isolated picks or the fact of just getting rid of Purple. Literally options 1 and 2.
One of the two.
One of the two. Like I know that Kaiju Clover can come out and do this. We've seen them before. They've adapted themselves. And you know, with us going into Kings Row, this is also one of those maps where everybody's so comfortable with, but also one of those maps where we talked a lot about how Canon has such a wide, unique hero pool that I wouldn't be surprised of seeing potentially a Bastion on Mundata statue, or I wouldn't be surprised to see, you know, potentially like that Echo or Pharah play to be brought out, which can be very valuable in this, which isn't the typical norm. So there's a variety of things I think that Kaiju Corp can do going into this set map.
Yeah, they certainly can. You know, Kings Row has this reputation of being like a very, very straightforward, you know, kind of down the middle brawl kind of map, but you can throw those curveballs in there. And when you do, and you do it well, it can be so devastating to a team that is not expecting it. So,
it truly can.
And Kaiju Core Clover needs to throw something unexpected at Paradise Aegis right now.
And as they start on the defensive side first, they could look to do that. This one, I think that we would maybe adopt a little bit more of potentially the Junkrat. There's an opportunity to use that Junkrat to force a lot of damage, especially in this early choke position where that opening is near the statue. Also potentially rounding that outside to lob in damage onto the upper position where if you do take a higher, you know, well, actually it's going to go onto the Mei. I like that too. Mei I'm actually okay with here. I would have liked to actually see a little bit more of this earlier.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And, you know, this Mei is going to be... the Mei is just such a great pick here on Kings Row. You know, every single one of these chokes just about the length of a Mei ball. Sure, that is not by accident. And if Cannon can section off either Purple or Homesick as they try and push through this choke, they can get an early first pick and just snowball that into teamfight wins after teamfight win.
And they're going to play this Ryan Diva. I do think that it's very helpful because Felix is a lot more comfortable when they come with this Diva play, but they're going to play this very forward, sneaky position that they want to just wait, I think, for Paradise to just press on freely to collapse in a flank. But this high ground position is something that I'm worried about. They're going to get clear sight of it, and now you've got Kaiju Clover on the low ground where the high ground advantage is here. Paradise is actually... As much as I said they had the high ground, for whatever reason, Anakin found superiority over Obi-Wan in moments like these.
Yeah, that is absolutely true. You know, and what was key right there is I think Glitch made the call to press directly underneath Paradise Aegis instead of backing up to point, which was a fantastic move right there because they know that at some point Paradise Aegis is going to have to drop. They're not going to be able to speed boost over that gap, and they dropped right into the waiting hammer of Glitch.
Now as they reposition towards that center of the statue, acknowledging that they get the double shield placement with their composition. And Brick opting to go onto this Echo, I like that. The fact that you're going to get a lot of the damage onto the Reinhardt shield, focusing beam to eliminate and bypass the defense matrix if they're up front for those tank lines. Getting a little bit elevated, has to fall back. The Discorder makes it really challenging for Clover to stay alive, but the Immortality Field sustains and actually holds off Paradise. But that pick comes through onto JB, and that's going to spell disaster real fast.
Yeah, it certainly is, especially because that Shield of Glitches is not looking like it is too long for that world. Neither is Felix Felice's mech. Hers goes down as well, and that halt brings her back into the sightlines of Paradise Aegis, and they're going to at least get a couple ticks here.
I mean, Clover's going to try and wait until they can maybe get one more here, but Baby Diva doesn't have the mech. Reinhardt's playing for the corner, doesn't manage to get there. That Discord orb from Spooky is spooky. And there's a triple kill coming out with Purple, showing the MVP play on the Roadhog, but I'm super happy because I'm going to Orisa one trick. I'm seeing it here on the screen, and I'm just a happy camper, so...
I know that makes you happy right there. Happy that we're both getting to see our heroes in this game. Looking into this next fight, both teams have a significant ult bank, but the one that's looking a little more significant is Paradise Aegis. They're gonna have all 6 ultimates online. and this could be devastating. Paradise, Kaiju Core Clover needs to win this fight. They need to win it economically.
Nice halt into the Dragon Strike. There is still some rocket boosters from Felix to evade and go up to the high ground, but again, separated and away from the supports. Glitch goes down because the D.Va was up top. There was no additional defense matrix to mitigate the incoming damage, so it is going to force them back. Sound barrier now committed by Copal. I would love to see these ultimates be prevented, but they're going to throw everything into it. Cannon is the only one to hold it. Look at this immediate retreat by Paradise. They read this like a book.
And now, crucially, Lockneck is in that off angle, but Supercharger has been committed, as well as the last remaining ult, the Blizzard, and that self-destruct from Felix Felicis.
Transcendence trying to give some assistance up front, but is going to fall short before Purple can get stabilization. Glitch now overwhelmed, but the Immortality Field is there. Pin in the back onto Echo, so there's no quick generation of an Earth Shatter to make a clutch play. And it's just back and forth, just surpassing this bookstore, attempting to go towards that second corner with Homesick playing aggressive. Has the Flux, is going to hold on to this. I would not be surprised with this patience that we've seen previously to carry it on to the next one, as this checkpoint is going to be reached.
Yeah, but there could be a last moment recontest here from Glitch. They're walking for it like they intend to do it, but they walk straight into the waiting amplification matrix Caponino. Shatter comes in, but Purple is there to clean up everything through that amp matrix. And that's going to be Paradise Aegis catching this second point and looking like they aren't going to be slowing down much at all, as JB Rocks is the only one with an ultimate online for Kaiju Core Clover.
I mean, honestly, the swap now onto Purple is a really great one, especially because there's this high ground position. You can get anyone off the upper ground. If they do opt to make the swap, they're not going to. You've got these doorways to use that, take a breather to sustain. Amplification Matrix now going to come out to give the extra damage, trying to hold them past this choke. But again, reservation, patience, and understanding of the ultimates that are being utilized by Clover to try and turn this back. And Purple's just sitting in the corner looking for a hook for an environmental kill. That's all they want right now.
That's certainly the truth. We see the Flux Dragons comes in, and it gets tremendous value as Homesick picks up 2. Felix Felicis is demeched as well, and now they're just gonna practically walk it in. Brickwall has this duplicate online. Spooky has the Transcendence to keep them alive. If Cobalt can get back, though, with the sound barrier, they can stagger this out for a little while at least. But they're not even gonna get there.
Where's the counter? Where's the counter, C9? Where's the counter, C9?
Oh, I think Copal got killed. Copal got killed at the last second.
Okay, then we're gonna let that one go. I'm gonna scratch that one out. I was gonna say, I'm like, maybe that was me just missing it, but I was like, all right, we're gonna give you some. We love you, Kaiju Clover. But I mean, honestly, when it came to, like, there were the couple of opportunities. The Earth Shatter was great, but the fact that you had Purple coming in from that side angle, the damage just superseded any sort of opportunity with those couple knockback just behind the amplification matrix. It prevented the damage. So, like, they're playing it well. Clover knows how to get into these fights and find opportunity. It's just there's those unfortunate moments where their wings just get clipped in their moment of flight, and they just fall right back down.
Yeah, they do, and it looks like they get back to their old form, you know, what we've seen from them before, but so many times they just seem to crumble, and it's coming off the back of, again, just these creative and unique plays from Paradise Aegis. We do have the Bastion being hovered over in spawn, and they're right there at the front. So I think we are gonna see this. I think we are gonna see the Mondada Bastion strat come out here.
I've seen this so many times in Collegiate from Northwood that I actually never get tired of it. I'm going to be real honest. So you're going to see, yes, the adoption coming out from Kaiju Clover with the Bastion and the Sim to go right on top of the tower. It's going to be, how do you handle it? Homesick is going to most likely toss the shield up there immediately, but with the amount of damage, you need to get both Lock Knock and Brick to force enough damage out quick enough to make the Bastion survive. But they shot it a little high. They don't get the shield coverage, and they take advantage of it.
Yeah, and that is a one shot right there. You don't want to try that strat again if it doesn't work. So I'm expecting to see Cannon swap off of that Bastion pick. And yep, goes right over to the Maze. Something a little bit more typical. They're probably going to be looking to rotate around and maybe even knock some of these players off the high ground. I wouldn't be surprised to see a long rotation coming in, but they're going to have to do it while trying to still avoid this hook from Purple.
You can see again that sweet spot, trying to find it to get that damage onto the shield to dwindle it quickly as they rotate through the hotel. Fire Strike in the back position to get overwhelming damage. There's the pin. No take a breather with Purple eliminated. That's a go button. In this high ground now, you're going to have to see Paradise drop soon since they've lost already a tick, and the second one now close in proximity. Glitch comes out with a Justice Hammer as the Amplification Matrix is going to be primed and ready with all the healing that's done. The Dragon Strike over top as a desperate ultimate to try and keep this in contention, at least to wear off a few seconds of the clock. But you can just see poor Nemo. You can't find the ground, my friend.
Yeah, Captain Nemo may have found the ground, but it was Glitch who was finding Captain Nemo right there at the very end. And what a fantastic take from Kaiju Corp clvr. You know, we said there were 2 win conditions, right? One of them being take Purple out of the fight, and that is exactly what they did at the first moment, and that's what led them to that fight one right there. With that threat out of the way, they were able to just freely move in, and they're trying to do the same thing right here. Purple holding that front line, but he's got to be careful because if he gets caught out again by Glitch, it's going to be another fight win for Kaiju clvr.
Felix gets so low and Glitch is eliminated. That tank line is just going to be broken apart, and that'll allow an opportunity of recovery and reprieve for the moment, as you do have Purple going to stabilize. I mean, the ultimate economy coming up right now, 5 ultimates to Paradise Aegis, as you're going to have clvr still have a few of their own, but it's going to be a fireworks display between after moving into this choke point.
Yeah, it certainly is. With this many on the board, we're going to get a light show, that is for sure. And, you know, I have to give the edge one more time to Paradise Aegis. They just have a little bit more to work with here, and crucially, they have this Gravitic Flux and the Dragon. And here we see the Dragons come out. Brickwall gets an early pick.
They had such great mobility. clvr goes in with that Lucio movement speed, but at this point, they forced out, you know, quite a bit of ultimates here. I gotta say, they got 3 out of it. That was a very quick reset coming back into it. I feel they could have held on to JB's Amplification Matrix, and even with the Earth Shatter to try and just rush it out.
Yeah, that's a very good point. That was an expensive fight to lose for Kaiju Corp clvr. They are going to have this sound barrier coming up, but it's probably... Oh my gosh, Spooky with an excellent shot.
No! Spooky! We know it's October, but Halloween's not here yet. You've got this Transcendence to sustain through it. Self-destruct in the back. Oh, there's no way you're getting out of that one, brick wall.
Nope. They were caught between a self-destruct and a brick wall right there, and there's only one way that's going to end. And now... Kaiju Corp clvr looking a little bit better in this coming fight. They're going to have the Blizzard. They're going to have the sound barrier as well. They'll probably even get this Amplification Matrix halfway through the fight. But Lockneck has the Dragon Strike online as well. If he places it right, it could be game over for Kaiju clvr.
You get another pick. Cannon goes down. No ability to get that. Just sustain and stasis with the cryo freeze. Felix at least finally gets rid of a hog. But now you no longer have the Blizzard and the DMEC. There is just... That Blizzard was critical to try and peek this corner. It was the win condition for them. They've lost about 3 minutes on the time bank right now, and Felix just has to try and get those shots in the back to get back into this mech.
Yeah, and they are not finding them, at least not yet. It is slow moving, trying to remech right now. Homesick has this. Here comes the Blizzard.
Oh, big. Attempting to get eaten, but does evade the grasp from... Homesick, and that's a big boom here for Kaiju clvr, and they're gonna rush this as far as they can to make sure that that checkpoint is reached uncontested.
And that is exactly what's gonna happen. But look at the time bank. It's now just they've got less time on the board than Paradise Aegis. This is just a tremendous showing from them on defense as well. They're gonna have the whole hog, the Bob, the Gravitic Flux as well. They've got so many tools to stall this out and to make this fight take a long time.
Flux at the ready. The big hook once again onto Cannon. Cryo Freeze has to come out. Actually, they survived. Nice job. Purple gets stunned as a Flux gets glitched. Dragon Strike down the choke. Finds 3! They are some hungry dragons as they hold with 2 minutes and 40 seconds and still have a couple of ults in the bank to continue defending.
That was an absolutely insane Gravitic Flux there from Homesick. He got 4 people in the air. One of them was picked off before they even hit the ground. And that just opened up the rest of the fight and Lockneck to get those dragons in. But they're not going to have him behind the arrows this time as Cannon has started to pop off for Kaiju clvr.
Cannon forcing out a Transcendence even on Spooky just because they have to mitigate this damage. This high ground position is going to be easily the advantage here for Clover with Greg nearing this Bob. That's now what they're looking to focus on. 6 players plus the Omnic, but Greg goes down. Brick Wall comes out with a huge pick, and the contention has to come through. Self-destruct up top, looking to see if they can get the value. The whole hog and the hook in tandem, managing to get at least both tanks eliminated. Brick finds another. The hog gets a third, but literally between Brick and Purple, that is recovered as long as the meat shield is there from Homesick.
That was absolutely insane. Exactly a meter left to go, and kaiju Core Clover couldn't quite push it over the edge. And that has to be deflating for you, because that to me looked like one of their best chances to capture. And now with Brick Wall set up on the high ground, once again, it's going to be very hard to push in, but they do have Bob.
They have the surprise factor. Cannon now nearing this Riptire is significant. Bob and Riptire are what they need. Value. A big, quick double tap! He gets the hike. The bolt DPS are gone! Riptire now taking a flank. You've got Glitch eliminated. Go long ray. The round bolt supports are down. It will take the adventure necessary as this quick cleanup comes through. Dragons are not. Round done.
That was a fantastic push from kaiju Core Clover, and what phenomenal play from Cannon. Cannon out-sniped the sniper on a Junkrat. I don't know if you saw one of those grenades that went up there on the high ground, but it was a direct hit onto Brick Wall. And that is not the kind of play you typically see coming out of a Junkrat, but it was the kind of play that kaiju Core Clover needed right then. And now they have a chance to come back in this fight. They've got a minute to try and find a win condition on this first point. They need to get at least 1 tick. Otherwise, the best they can hope for is a draw.
Fun fact, friends, rats can eat through a actual pipe. And the health bar of Brick was the pipe to the rat. That's literally what just happened. I had to make that analogy work. You gave me enough time to figure that out. So yes, 60 seconds though. With the remaining time, again, the least of the time bank is going to have to attack first. And we saw a real challenge here at the start for kaiju Clover, getting onto this point swiftly. So that's going to be a hurdle in and of itself. They just have to get this into a payload phase, and I think that's at least going to be their... I mean, of course you want to complete, don't get me wrong, but right now, yes, kaiju Clover is just looking to at least transition this by capturing the 3 ticks on this attack.
And I like the composition they're rolling out on. Cannon, again, on this Junkrat has just done fantastic work. If they can build up a Riptire quickly, if they can get enough span damage into the shield, they can make something happen for kaiju Core Clover. But speaking of shields and damage going into him, Loknak layering in something. JB Rocks Forever is going to JB Rocks for a little less this time.
Okay, so you do get rid of Purple, but the problem is you've lost both supports. This needs a fast reset right now, but you're going to have Loknak already at 60% going into this next fight, and the res is there to make it a full 6, so they will for sure oh, and they're gonna stagger out Felix. Oh no, this is rough. You can't see this.
Oh my gosh, that was rough for her right there. But at least kaiju Core Clover got 1 tick on the board. They do have a win condition. It's a small one, but it is there. And if they can just hold... Look at that. Kopel's out of the fight already. They're going to have hardly any chance to capture this point now.
Locknon's going to hit a rocket and come in with the barrage as they're going to get picked up by Greg. That's an opportunity if there is some follow-through underneath. The support is down, but there still is a front line to hold on to this Dragon Strike in the back line by Brick, managing to just split up this team. The Storm Arrows will come back online, but they're not going to be needed. The overtime dwindles, but I will agree with you. 1 tick for 36.1% is better than nothing at all.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And, you know, it was Loknak. It was Loknak that opened everything up there for that last fight for Paradise Aegis. Getting 100%. That early pick from the sky onto JB Rocks, that just put that push in the grave right there. Without those heals, it's just going to be next to impossible to push onto point and hope to maintain yourself and to stay there. So without that, and then Purple coming in with a massive hook right after it, that was just game over for kaiju Core Clover. And now they have to try and hold for 3 minutes and 18 seconds against a very, very dangerous looking Paradise Aegis.
Good. Cannon's on the Junkrat. That's what I want to see.
Yep.
You're going to have a change-up, though. Because originally, this was Felix on the Diva with the Reinhardt to try and utilize the dynamic of that low to high ground trajectory with the rocket boosters. But in this case, they're going to opt to go with Felix so that they've got the extra shield. They also have a lot of the crowd control with the stun to potentially find an opportunity to shut this down, because we talked about how if the take a breather is such a big problem keeping Purple up, in addition to already Spooky's output with Nemo on the Mercy, they have to just outright stop that take a breather or at least get the supports out of this. But there's so many focus fires from Paradise Aegis that you have to watch out for.
Yeah, you certainly do. And having that second shield is really going to be beneficial to them. I think Lockneck already starting to layer in a few rockets. They do go down early, so somebody certainly has their eyes on them this time in the sky.
Oh yeah, Lockneck being heavily pressured by Greg. But a couple of rockets goes down. Can't allow that to happen. Junkrat eliminated. Cannon is brought down. Greg in tandem. The dominoes continue to just knock one after another to a beautiful mosaic that says team kill, with a follow-up one that has a few little strands of dominoes to also show victory in it, which is going to be Paradise Aegis.
This is just tremendous. Paradise Aegis is on an absolute tear. They were strong during the regular season, but they weren't this strong. Whatever tempering process they have gone through during this bracket, during this tournament, has turned them into something harder than steel for Kaiju Core to try and push through, and they just haven't been able to.
And I mean, even with that play of the game you just saw there, Locknock has always been an individual that can find value independently as a DPS. And if this front line, which we've seen, again, just being so well fortified, they're just bringing and opening space for this backline of Lock and Brick to just basically do what they want, it's making it even more challenging. And again, we already talk heavily about Purple, but we have to really give credit all around for how they're playing, because they're unifying strengths with their independent play. As weird as that's going to sound, is the synergy between it is quite amazing in how they're playing. Like, even though Kaiju Clover has had a lot of really great moments, like a lot of their rotations and their tempo can be so oppressive. Like, they can do so well, but then once they find themselves a little bit off kilter, they just have to play so much harder in that recovery game. And when it goes longer and longer, that's where they find the short end of the stick.
Yeah, you're right. You know, these prolonged team fights, it's all it is more opportunity, right? For someone like Purple or Lockneck to find value. And with characters like that, that's what you need. You just need time, right? And when time is on your side for Paradise Aegis, there's nothing that Kaiju Core Clover can really seem to do. And at this point, Kaiju Core Clover has their backs against the wall. This is now match point for Paradise Aegis. And Kaiju Core Clover, they have to play perfect from here on out if they hope to bring this back and take the Hyperion Invitational Cup title.
I mean, and again, we've seen some tremendous recoveries. Reverse sweeps are nothing out of the ordinary, but yes, it's mental fortitude and also stamina, because we have to talk about that. Like, that's one of the other things that a lot of people, when, you know, they're watching esports or they're playing esports, like, yes, like, you're used to, hey, best of 5 or like best of 3, like, that's great. We are doing a best of 7, and when you are now 4 maps down, or correction, 3 maps down, and you have to recover with 4 maps. That's so much time and mental stasis that you have to just come to the grips with. And again, Kaiju Clover, this team and their others have been in competitive environments before, remotely and in LAN, and have been able to persevere through challenges. And I would not be surprised to see them be able to do that going into this. And again, it also really can be, since it's a preset map dependent. Like, you find yourself having to go into this with this where you're trying to work out maybe things that you're not as formidable at. So going into Assault here for this 4th map, Volskaya Industry specifically, this is one of those maps where, you know, again, I would actually lead to believe that we're going to see Felix playing the Diva again going into this, because that is such an asset on this map. Yeah.
Now, here's some interesting developments that have happened in the lobby. Cannon is actually coming in for Glitch on Kaiju Core Clover. So they're going to be rotating into that tank position, and In addition, Kaiju Core Clover's bringing Radiant Light in to fill that DPS slot. So they're going to be, this is a curveball for sure. And maybe this is the kind of curveball that Kaiju Core Clover needs to throw in order to strike out Paradise Aegis.
I mean, we had some swaps come in from Paradise, and maybe the swaps of their own from Clover are going to be able to tip the scale. Because, again, we've seen some very close engagements. I would definitely say more so on the control map, and specifically even a little bit more so at King's Row. Even though the time banks were still a little bit off with that 2-minute differentiation between the two of them, there was still a lot of really competitive battles more often than not, outside of either Purple getting the value or that high ground Lock-Nah play with the Pharah that did come out a little bit of nowhere that they really couldn't suppress it at all. But with, again, Volskaya Industries, this is also something too where we did see a little bit of the Sombra play, but that came out by Cannon. So that's another part of it. So since you've got that rotation, how is this new the new individual going to rotate into this role? I'm so excited to see what role that's going to take and what that's going to look like.
Same, and I'm curious to see if Cannon is coming in on that main tank or if Felix is going to swap over to it as well. That's could be one way, could be the other. It's really going to be curious to see. But we're going to have Kaiju Core Clover on defense once again first. So we're going to get a sneak peek at what they're planning on doing for this defense in just a few seconds. But I would love to see a double shield come out here. I think there's, setting up on the back on that point is very, very powerful. And angles, I feel like today have been the name of the game. So maybe if Kaiju Core Clover can turn that around onto Paradise Aegis, they'll find some success here.
And looking even just at the information for Radiant, we see a lot of the Tracer, Ana, and Reinhardt in their repertoire because they are flexing in for these opportunities to give some variety to the composition. And, they're picking it. Like, they're looking to play this Radiant Tracer. And we've seen so much value come from a Tracer play. If you do not know how to prevent its harassment, that is significant. And I think that that's something that, is probably the leading reason why they want to try and bring Radiant in, is just to force so much applied pressure on the supports to lose the strength in the front and DPS role.
Yeah, that's a very good point. If they can sweep those supports out from under the legs of Paradise Aegis, then Purple's going to be up a creek without a paddle as soon as that Take a Breather is offline, because he's not going to have any shields to help him out at that point. Brick wall again on this Widow, looking for an early pick, but they find Radiant Light on the high ground, and they're going to get chased out.
Yep, Radiant's going to quickly recall, look for that opportunity to reset, getting back to the full health to not have to force out the assets, but you're going to have JB go down again. Oh no, both supports eliminated, and you lose the Lucio when you're so far forward. You have no ability to escape since the utility has completely evaporated, and now, oh my goodness, just stop this hog play.
Yeah, you know what? It's been the Lock-Nah Purple show so far today. They've been the keys to unlock the door to victory for Paradise Aegis at every point. You can't have your Baptiste going down that early in a fight. And whether that was due to poor positioning or just great play from Lock-Nah, doesn't really matter in the end, because what this means is 6 minutes on the clock for Paradise Aegis, and already Copel's removed from the fight.
Oh my. Out for blood, Brick Wall. Just looking for it, saying, I don't like your tunes, switch it to something else. But Greg's gonna say, no, I'm gonna make sure that we keep the same tunes. As the rockets rain from overhead, gets both Greg and also Copel. This is just now an onslaught pressing onto this point, exerting so much dominance going into Volskaya Industries. And this match point is something that they want to take now.
Yeah, it certainly is, and they look primed to do just that. Lock-Nah goes down to 7 health, though, and now Homesick coming up big for Paradise Aegis, and despite picks coming in, Paradise Aegis is still on the point, but this fight might be just about over now that Purple's getting pushed back.
Purple, stop, the Take a Breather. I want to know the healing numbers. I would love, where's my Overwatch League level stats right now? Because Purple, that's the third time again I feel like I've literally just been seeing them at 1 bar on that health bar.
Yeah, that was insane. Purple making me green with envy. I wish I could play Roadhog like this man right here. Brickwall pops the sights again to get a good view of how this defense is shaping up and to try and find another head, which they have been finding plenty of during this match. Homesick, though, gonna be looking to probably get Gravitic Flux value mid-fight here.
I mean, look where they're putting the resources to. They know that Brick Wall is finding these angles and the sight lines, and they're just going to continue to try and give agency to that. Spooky takes down Cannon with the amplification matrix. There's no ability to mitigate the damage. So many are low, they can't even survive. It's going to be Paradise Aegis coming in with revenge, vengeance, and just quenched and thirsty for blood as they are looking to reach this first initial tick. They've not yet gotten it, but 4 minutes, and now it's just going to be a crashing wave. The Shatter comes out to potentially contest. Cannon finds 2. Bolt supports. If they can actually get back quick enough with the respawn advantage and the self-destruct is here, they could swap this.
I can't believe it. What was an incredible early advantage for Paradise Aegis turned into a complete turnaround for the Kaiju Corp Clover. And it was because Kaiju Corp Clover, despite losing these fights early on, is managing to get 1 or 2 picks in there, and crucial picks as well. Spooky went down early in that fight, so there wasn't a whole lot of sustain for Paradise Aegis. Capanemo eventually was able to get the res onto Spooky as well, and so despite these picks coming in, the spawn advantage was just too much. And Paradise Aegis just going to have to do a better job staying alive.
Yeah, Cannon finding bolt supports was literally the reason that fight went in their favor, and now another pick onto Homesick. Cannon coming out big with some value, and again, you're thinking, man, I got the Shatter. I think there's going to be a better value of it. You can't get any better than 2 supports and shutting it down with the respawn advantage, and now they've got 3 minutes still to go, but the ultimates are stacking up for Paradise.
Yeah, they certainly are, and they know it too. They are going to wait. If they can hold on to these dragons until they get Gravitic Flux online, that could be just brutal, especially if they're able to take out the Immortality Field from JB Rock. But they need to try and get a pick on the Copal before he procs the sound barrier.
I mean, that's a real risky play, Radiant, when you've got Infra available and the sight lines are clear. Purple now getting massively healed by the Valkyrie in the back with a damage boost every time they peek. Homesick gets rid of Cannon, and that's just overwhelming, just front line pressure that you cannot mitigate. Radiant goes down by Locknaw, having to watch the dome from Brick Wall as the Hanzo comes in from the side to say, I'm here too, friend, with a hook finally missing to probably drop it below that 70% mark, as we've seen at least feeling. Purple eliminated by Radiant, getting back onto the Tracer. Those swaps onto the picks to get back here for numbers is going to be a challenge, because Homesick now with the Flux on the back doesn't land anything, but still gets a lot of pressure going up to the high ground, using that ability for more of the elevation than finding a stun. Locknaw gets another one on the board. If they can just focus fire the remaining player, they should be able to get this.
Yeah, Locknock has his aim on lockdown. Speaking of aim, Brick Wall coming in huge again. This fight looked like it was going to be going the way of Kaiju Corp Clover, but with these snipers of Paradise Aegis, there's nothing they can do in the face of it. Greg has the tac visor online. They're going to have to try and proc it, but they get taken down immediately. And this is all but over for Paradise Aegis.
Another Valkyrie comes through by Nemo. That should be the nail in the coffin as Brick gets a follow-up pick as the accretion hits him in the body. Minute and 7 seconds on the clock. I mean, again, they had a lot larger of a time bank, but they still managed to get something up there before pushing it to that overtime. And Kaiju Clover, I mean, their force of will to get back into this is absolutely admirable. But again, now they're finding themselves on the attack. They need this completion with a really decent time bank.
Yeah, they certainly do, because we saw Paradise Aegis walk all over them on that first point. And they can't have that happen if this continues on into a third round. They have to mount a solid defense on that first point. But first things first, they've got a cap. And like you said, they need to do it with time.
Radiant hovering over that Reaper, but we'll leave that for the moment, as we're going to see a tried and true comp coming out from Paradise Aegis. I mean, this is going to work so well for them. They've got Brick Wall in the back on the defense, funneling into the choke, watching the window, and even if there's a backline flank that they wanted to try something cheesy, you get the angle for the intel. Locknaw has been finding these serious, literally basically has JB's number. It is constantly finding JB. If that continues and Greg cannot get pressure onto Locknock, this is going to be devastating.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So many angles that are going to be coming out from Paradise Aegis that Kaiju Clover is just going to have to watch out for. It's going to be very, very difficult, but Radiant Light is on this Reaper, so Reaper, the natural enemy of a Roadhog, so there is an opportunity here, I think, for Kaiju Core Clover to really make a strong showing here, as we see them starting to rotate into this high ground, but Locknack found one of the supports.
Oh no, you're gonna once again lose that utility and mobility through that choke point. A hook comes onto the Ryan play to force the drop to the floor. He does get a huge pick, and this is final moments for Kaiju Clover to push into this. This is that match point, and they had once again an early swap, but the pressure from up top from Brick and the recovery from the tank line and Locknaw finding the rockets, they are just able to shut that minute down worth of effort to not yield any value.
That looked like it was going so well for Kaiju Core Clover, but Locknack had other ideas, and you can see it in the ult percentage too. He's almost got this barrage. That is who saved that last point, and you know, I think he's making a good case for himself as an MVP too, if this goes away at Paradise Aegis, because his play has just been crucial to opening up these team fights for Paradise Aegis. He's winning them before they start.
Oh no, and you're going to have that high ground position with the concussion minus ready. Going to actually use it for a reposition to get close. It's still going to be Brick Wall getting the tank down onto JB, strips it away, and finds another on Bragg. Just peppering in shot after shot onto the opposing side. Felix, you dancing, you jiving, you mitigating everything you can, and finally is going to get collapsed on. But Locknaw up top, looking for rockets. Brick fucks another onto the support, gets the pick again onto Radiant Light, finds the darkness sooner than they see, and that's now 2 minutes. Kaiju Clover has a couple more attempts here, and they have to be flawless.
Brickwall is such an appropriate name for this player, because it's like you turn a corner and you stop because of a bullet in your head. It's just incredible what this player has been able to do so far. Capanema also has this Valkyrie online, so they're going to be able to give so much more support in the sky, and now they know exactly where they are based off this based off of the sights from Brick Wall.
Oh my gosh, Felix is trying to flee, gets hooked earlier and can't manage to regroup. Locknaw cuts him off again as you've got the sights open. Basically, Brick Wall is sitting there for free with a crossfire, and you've got the rockets ready. This is the moment. Minute and 25 seconds. Kaiju Clover has to pull out literally every saving grace they have to swap this and take this first point to even hope for point B.
Yeah, and this is getting close to final fight territory. They have to, if they are getting, they need to take this fight fast, because if they lose it, they need one more shot, and they're pushing forward. But look at that! The pick's already coming in!
Oh, the rockets come in for 3, but it was fast. It was absolutely fast, and they didn't, okay, we're still okay. There's another attempt here. Copel, though, needs to get this sound barrier. If they take out Copel early, and that is not used this fight, this is going to be game over.
Oh my gosh, Radiant Light gets out with just a hair, by just a hair's breadth right there, from a hook and a headshot from Brick Wall. 30 seconds left on the clock now. This is your moment to shine, Kaiju Core Clover.
The disruption is going to reposition them, but they don't find them caught out like last time. Amplification Matrix now going to come out by Spooky, as there's a lot of funnel damage. They've got the seconds, though, to make this push out, but Greg is separated! There's a shatter that comes through, but it's going to be blocked! Homesick is up top! You've got the other pick as a self-destruct in the back removes Homesick, so you've eliminated the wall and the accretion, but there's still damage coming through. Both the rockets and the shots. You're going to have the Reaper play coming through! Doesn't manage to get the pickup, has to fall back as the Death Blossom gets Brick Wall. Going back onto the point, you've got Clover attempting to swap it. Purple's getting hooked and take out another. The boost is there. You've got Nemo looking to hold it. The overtime dwindles, and you've got Paradise Aegis with a full hold on Volskaya Industries map 4-4-0 for this absolutely amazing and stellar grand finals. They will be able to take the Invitational Cup here for Hyperion home with their hands held high.
What phenomenal play coming out today from Paradise Aegis. This team that, granted, looked very good during the season, looks unstoppable in the postseason. Nobody had even come close to taking Kaiju Clover this far, and they take them 4-0. I cannot believe what I just saw today, especially with this wholesale change in the lineup. coming in from Paradise Aegis as well. Just phenomenal gameplay today, and Paradise Aegis have to be absolutely thrilled right now with their performance today.
Yeah, at 100%. I mean, you have, restructuring and substitutes that they had in their lineup come in, fill the roles that they might, had not been as comfortable on, or with the composition of the team, synergy with the team, a whole slew of challenges, but have able to overcome it. And again, we have to still give major props to clvr. They, going into this again,
Absolutely.
have worked their way through it, finding themselves in this grand finals. They have said that they've been in other invitationals where, even the top 4, they find themselves here just in that second place, still being able to put up quite a battle. But yes, Paradise Aegis has just completely evolved into their final form going into this grand finals from what we've seen, and the evolution that we saw and their ability to just play in this chaos and find these very small weaknesses, which they've been able to take advantage of, really set them apart and managed to pull ahead since they worked through that first map of control, which again, we said it was like the previous matchup where it's tooth and nail back and forth.
Yeah.
But they found their stride. They found their valuable, important assets in their composition, and were just able to run it over and over again.
Yeah, and there was just no answer from Kaiju Core clvr. I still wonder what things would have looked like had we seen an Ana a little bit more, in their lineup. But at the end of the day, it's Paradise Aegis coming out away with a huge win here. Now, we're going to take a short break, everybody, but don't go anywhere, because we will be announcing our MVP choice for the match, and we will be back with an interview. So don't go anywhere.
Hello and welcome back, friends, as we are here to be able to speak to not only our interviewer, but also coupling with the MVP. Juggle, we have the glorious opportunity to speak with the winner of this amazing Invitational Cup. Purple, we had so much good to say about you, and it's amazing to actually have the chance to get to talk to you. How are you feeling? How is this win making you just feel confident, and also are you proud that you did it on a Roadhog?
I am, I think Roadhog's underrated, but in terms of the win, everyone, not just me, the whole team, everyone is pumped. We had so much fun, blood running through everyone's veins, the whole time. It was really intense. So I can't think of, a better team to play in finals against Kaiju. But, it went, we did it, at the end of the day, we did it. So I'm very happy for that in my team.
Absolutely. And so I want to know, in terms of your relationship with the team, now we saw you come in and play in the game against Lux Nova, and now we see you here in the grand finals. Are you have you gotten significant practice time with Paradise Aegis? Are you a part of the team? Tell me a little bit about your relationship to Paradise Aegis, because if I were them, I'd be putting you down on contract.
Yeah, so with Paradise Aegis, I've gone through a couple different teams myself, but I've always followed I guess a few members, one being Calf. So I've always been part of a family for a team. Wherever she is, I'm always there when they need me. So whenever it comes to practice, I'm the most reliable backup, I guess you could say. So I played with the team multiple times. We've done ins and outs. I've been there on bench, been there for games. In general, you could basically count me as one of the team. And at this point, after a win like this, it's hard to say that I couldn't be. We just it's just fun. It's nice to be around everyone here at Aegis, and one big happy family at the end of the day. So definitely enjoying it with this team so far.
That's fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. Now, did you all have any special preparation that you did going up against Kaiju clvr? And I guess, an interesting question as well is, how much of that preparation were you there for? When did you start practicing with them for these grand finals?
So, in terms of putting me in the game, as kind of said, I'm with the team in a weird way. After the first game that you guys saw us in, or saw me in playing Hog, that's kind of when we started coming up with some, I guess, more diverse strats. Like, you don't see a Hog, so no one preps for a Hog. Mm-hmm. Going in with that mentality, I'd like to say, started trying to throw in Hog during scrims more often, just to practice his utility in general. So with Hog's utility and no one planning out for him, we just, it's that no one's ready for it. And that kind of led us, I'd say definitely this month, we started doing a little more with him.
I mean, the surprise factor is definitely there, and there were countless times where both myself and Juggle were like, you're literally on a knife's edge with that health, and just using the utility to its full potential, and just the sheer backup that you had to make sure that you could pull that off is unbelievable. And again, even like when we were talking with you just before going into the interview, we were just, oh yeah, like you couldn't pick yourself. Like there are so many others that you'd be able to pick. And I mean, it's very true that your team had such a well-rounded performance. And going forward from this, and like I know that we were able to talk to the coach saying that you've got the 3 different teams that you have underneath the organization. What are like the hopes and maybe aspirations either for you or the team in general kind of moving forward? Like what do you see an advancement for you?
For myself, I definitely just want to be there to mainly support the team, but at the end of the day, get more wins. Who's gonna not want that? I'd say our practice consistency is something I'm really proud of. People are there when they need to be there. In that side of the coin, everyone's very disciplined, and then the other side, everyone knows when to have fun when they need to. So we always work hard, play hard, I'd say. Future plans, like I said, we're gonna be in it to win it. I don't think anyone on our team is going to live this like blood rush down, where we're just like next scrim, we might even like just destroy whoever we're playing against because we're still hyped over this win. So hopefully that rolls over, but future plans have to come through. So we'll see what happens.
Well, it's a glorious night and a great opportunity to celebrate the victory, and it was truly a pleasure to get the opportunity to see you play, your team perform, and have this opportunity to not only elect you for the like interview moment to talk about it, but also as the MVP. So definitely hold your head high along with your team as well with this victory and your hands up in the air to say, okay, we're just ready to go. And I mean, me and Juggle can definitely say that we both had a thrill casting it today.
We
Yes.
did. Yeah, thank
I
you
gotta
so much
say,
for an entertaining match. Go ahead.
just I couldn't ask for better commentators at the end of the day, so.
Oh, you're so nice. Well, here we go. You gave thanks to us, which we appreciate. But what about shout outs? Do you have anybody that you want to give a shout out to, whether it's family, friends, other people on the team, anybody? Like what lay it all out there. Just give it to us.
Yeah.
Let us know.
All right,
put it live in the broadcast.
Pull out this paper here, huh? Pull something out. So
the speech ready. Oh, here's my paper.
I think I actually heard paper
just
unraveling.
It's some trash I got here on the side. But in terms of thanks, it's definitely got to be coaches. Everyone there at Aegis, everyone who played today, and I think it's really underrated. But everyone we've scrimmed against in general, people don't really thank the practice people that they play against. Okay. And I think that at the end of the day, they're going to be the reason why you win, because you get to try new strats, you get to try things that don't work, things that do. But aside from all those people that we have played against in the past, just in general, huge love to everyone in general on Aegis, family, friends, and yeah, that's probably it. Oh, and my dog. How can I forget my dog? Yeah, there you go.
Awesome. Gotta thank the fur babies. They do so much for us.
Well, again, thank you so very much. And I mean, ultimately, Juggle, I mean, we've had the opportunity to, like we said, be here for this grand finals. I know it was a pleasure and a privilege for me to be here to be a part of this exciting moment. And, again, big shout out to Hyperion. They are fantastic. Hyperion Co. Their Discord, and just honestly, just finding out information. It is discord.gg/Hyperion, or again, Hyperion Co. on Twitter to find out more information for yourself to potentially participate in or get to know more about them and just be able to be involved in opportunities just like this. Because it was a pleasure to be alongside of you and Hyperion, and I cannot say it enough. And I mean, really, Juggle, we don't get to cast like this next to each other that often, so this is a nice little brownie point here as well.
This was such a wonderful opportunity. We've been friends now for a little while, and I never thought we would have the opportunity to cast together like this. So just a little feather in my cap as well. So thank you so much. It was an absolute joy to get to work alongside you and everybody else in the Hyperion Cup. I had such a phenomenal time participating as well as casting for you all. So thank you all.
And from all of us here on the broadcast, we hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Take care, happy gaming, and we'll look to see you next time.